Hello and welcome to New Jersey Politics with Laura Jones. I am Laura Jones and we are so glad to have you here. The Dear America Project is a movement to capture the voices of those who have been historically silenced. We're going to learn a little bit more about that and meet the founder of the organization, Shennell Barnes, in just a few minutes. First though, Jeannine Frisby LaRue. She's been on the political scene in New Jersey for nearly 50 years as an elected official, appointed official, lobbyist, and political consultant. She has been celebrated by more than 74 civic and political organizations throughout the state. And as she enters her 70th decade, she's now an entrepreneur. So we're going to get her take on the latest from Trenton, as well as the shift we are seeing when it comes to the face of New Jersey's congressional delegation. Jeannine, welcome to the show. It is so good to see you.
Laura, thanks for having me. I watch you. I see you on social media. You are just such a pro. Thank you very, very much.
And the feeling is mutual. I mean, what is Trenton without you? I don't know. So it's just really good to have you on the show and to have this conversation. I want to just kind of jump right in to, how much has changed in just 1 year, right? We've lost 3 lawmakers in just one election cycle. 2 passed away in office. We have Congressman Bill Pascrell and also Congressman Donald Payne Jr. Of course, we know Senator Bob Menendez indicted. Congressman Andy Kim is leaving his seat to run for U.S. Senate. So that's 3 open congressional seats, 1 open Senate seat.
It's a lot going on.
Yeah, that is a lot going on. Can you talk about this massive change in the landscape that we're seeing that this time a year ago, who would have thought?
Well, we've had a lot of change, period. I mean, as you know, a year ago, we lost our own beloved Lieutenant Governor Sheila Oliver, one of my closest friends. And who would have thought so many changing of the guards? I've been in this business now as a lobbyist for almost 50 years, 46 years. And I never thought I would see the faces of our federal lawmakers change so drastically in the first 6 to 7 months of the year. I remember years ago, I used to look at the congressional district and say, oh my goodness, will there ever be anybody going down to D.C. from New Jersey who looks like me? And I think it's amazing that you have Andy Kim, who is Asian, you have Nellie Poe, Latina, you have LaMonica out of the North Jersey, Newark area, and then you have Herb Conaway, all 4 minorities and 2 women going to Washington on behalf of representing New Jersey.
Right. I mean, and this could be, again, one of the most without a doubt, it already changing to be the most congressional delegation that we've seen after the election. And can you just talk a little bit more about that? And again, for how long New Jersey has been underrepresented in so many of these populations with representation in Congress, Trenton as well.
Absolutely. I have been on as I call it, the battlefield for women and people of color for so many years as it related to lawmakers. And I remember with a lot of the women's groups, we never thought we would get a female going to Washington from New Jersey. We were thrilled that we got a female governor. Even though I'm a registered Democrat, I was thrilled that Christine Todd Whitman, she beat my governor, but I was glad to see a woman come in and she won re-election as well. I think that in this moment, Laura, when you look at what could happen in November, if VP Harris actually makes it, we're going to have some interesting voices at the table, and I think it's going to be reflected in the way issues are shaped in D.C. Maybe there will be a whole different discussion about things like reproductive freedom and all of the things that affect women and ethnic minorities. I'm just thrilled to see some of these changes in the landscape.
Yeah, and as you've mentioned, you've got close to 50 years of experience in politics. So as we're heading into this election season, election campaign, what kind of messaging do you think these New Jersey candidates need to deliver before Election Day?
I think one of the things is that they have to speak to everybody. This cannot just be a partisan conversation. There are a lot of people in pain right now. I'm 74 years old, Laura, and I have to tell you, I am the biggest proponent that people my age step back a bit and let these younger voices come to the table and help us figure things out. I'm excited to see so many young people who are interested in public service to this country. So, I think that a lot of men, when I look at Tim Walz and what's happening with him as a potential vice president, I think he brings a folksy, really down to earth conversation to the table. And I think all of us need to take a deep breath. We can do this whole thing together. There's something, and as everybody talks about the joy, I believe that there will be joy in DC if things go the way it looks as though it will go in November.
Well, can you just talk a little bit about, how you engage that younger generation, how you engage women, how you engage women of color? I've been on a few panels, when the Women's Political Caucus, trying to get women into the fold, get their voices heard a little bit more, represented more in New Jersey and in Washington, D.C. And it seemed to be so few at a time that there were just so few spots. And then women would be fighting one another to get to those spots and tearing each other down as opposed to lifting each other up. Has that shifted? Has that changed recently? What have you observed when it comes to not just the number of seats or opportunities available for women, but how women support one another?
I think that it has been changing gradually, but I saw something happen when our dear beloved President Biden decided he would step aside and support the vice president. One of my concerns, because when I started in this journey, many times I was the only woman in the room and almost always the only person of color, woman or male. And I was wondering what's going to happen now that we're talking about a black woman running for president. Where are white women going to stand on this? Where are Latinas going to stand? I knew Asians would step up. I am so thrilled what happened after that first phone call of 44,000 women, mostly African American women, were on the line. And when I saw white women, they specified that this was a white woman's call, that they topped us in raising money and they had a whole lot more people on the line. And then the white men chimed in. And I think that there is a new way of communicating with each other now. We understand that democracy is truly at stake, not only on the federal level, but I think now people are beginning to have a different conversation with each other. I'm very hopeful. I am very, very hopeful.
I want to talk a little bit about some of the things you're doing. You've recently started a company. You're in your 70s, so can you talk a little bit about what you're doing? You've had a podcast. You've got a podcast for 4 years, but now there's bricks and mortar. What's going on with you?
Yes,
it's hard to keep up with
well,
you.
Right now I'm in my studio right now. I have two wonderful suites for my studios. I just have I just signed an MOU with the Trenton School District where they will take some of their really exciting students who want to go into production, want to go into podcasting and TV production, and they will produce my shows. This show started during the pandemic. I had decided that before the pandemic, I wanted to get into podcasting and I was going to do it in the city of Trenton at Starbucks. Lots of legislators said, "Oh, we want to come on your show. You have a big following." I bought all this equipment. 2 months after I had gotten ready for the first show, the pandemic happened and I was shut down because you couldn't go into a building. So I decided I would do a show from my home office. I have a beautiful home office. And I brought on the lieutenant governor and I brought on lobbyists. And I mean, people literally, without exaggeration, from all around the world were coming to me, messaging me on Facebook, "Can I come on your show? I have something to say." So I had Africans who were LGBTQIA, who had gotten married and could be killed in their countries if they went back. I mean, it was amazing. So I did that for 4.5 years, and now I'm taking it to another level. I have a big launch coming up on Monday, this Monday coming, lieutenant governors coming, a lot of politicians, a lot of community leaders. I am excited. And we're going to talk about issues, we're going to talk about projects, we're going to talk about things that I believe matter to us as humans. As I keep saying, let's be humans.
And I love that you are involving students in this from Trenton Central. That is incredible. Final thoughts so
And
that
they're going to
people.
be paid.
Oh, I love that. It's even better. Where can people go to find out more about the podcast and some of the things that you're doing?
I actually have the LaRue List Cafe.com. I have my own website, so they can find me there. I'm also I just started a new company called MoxieStrategies.com. You can find out a lot about me on MoxieStrategies.com. So LaRueListCafe.com. All of my shows are there, and you can also see the ones that are coming up.
I love it, and I love that you were able to take the time to talk to me. It's always a delight.
Thank you.
It is always lovely to see you. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you so much, Laura. Thank you.
Joining me now is Shennell Barnes McLeod, a Newark native and the founder of the Dear America Project, a movement to capture the voices of those who have been historically silenced. Shennell, welcome to the show. It's so good to see you here.
It's so good to see you. I'm honored and excited to be on the show today. And what
Oh,
an important
same here.
moment.
Same here. Well, let's get right to it. Can you tell us a little bit about your work? What is the Dear America Project?
Absolutely. So first, I am the founder of an organization called Project Ready. Project Ready is a social justice organization that activates Black and Brown voters across the state of New Jersey. And now we are taking our organization on a national tour by way of the Dear America Project, which is a film that I, alongside other members of Project Ready, have executive produced. It's called Dear America, A Letter from Black Women. And the vision is for us to capture the voices of Black women across the nation in order to express how Black women have held democracy, what democracy has done for Black women, what democracy hasn't done for Black women, the power of the vote, and the importance of making sure that we listen to a collective group of voices that have gone unheard for far too long.
All right,
And
so
that is Black women.
yeah, so it started then with Project Ready. So how did
Right.
you get that going? And if you can tell us a little bit more about what that does as well.
Absolutely. I'm born and raised in Newark, New Jersey. I started Project Ready 5 years ago with the vision of bringing Black and Brown residents together in order to see the through line in between civic engagement and educational equity. I'll also share that growing up, my parents, they worked hard, they busted their butt to make sure that I had what it is that I needed, but they didn't always have the time to be able to sit with me and talk with me about the power of civic engagement. And so what we've attempted to do at Project Ready is provide a companion in urban communities where parents and families can still do what it is that they need to do, but they can leverage Project Ready in order to share the tools and resources that most of our parents, families, and students need in order to exercise the most important part of them, and that is their voice.
Yeah. Why do you think that people aren't using their voices? Is it an issue of they feel like it's not going to make a difference? Is it an issue of the information isn't getting to them, whether it be in the community, in the schools, in the churches, what have you? What are you finding in that area?
It's such a good question. We, through the Dear America Project, went across the nation in order to interview Black women. We even had the opportunity to interview some men in order to support the film. And unanimously, all of the people who are a part of the film said that they believe in democracy, but they just don't see how democracy is actually working for them. What I mean by that is when we think about the policy agenda of Black women that we hope to allow Black women to be able to form through the film, education is a top concern. Maternal health is a top concern. Wealth and the wealth gap that continues to deepen is a top concern. And so I think people are saying, yeah, I voted And I've been there, done that. I don't see the result of my vote. And I think people want to see more of democracy actually working for them.
When you talk about and when you go out, you touched on education, and especially in urban areas, a lot of students are being underserved, and they're not getting the same level of education as other people have in other areas. In wealthy area, there's people who might have access to have private schools and other education. So can you talk a little bit about that and how you're working and what voices you heard there? Because knowledge is power, and that can make all the difference. That right education, that person who cares, that lights the spark in the next generation.
Absolutely. In Newark, New Jersey alone, we're seeing roughly 27% of our babies being able to read on grade level. That's terrible and should be criminal. What we found as we traveled to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, New Orleans, Louisiana, Atlanta, Georgia, North Carolina, and New York, New York, Philadelphia, because these are some of the places we've been, those numbers aren't far off. The crisis for our children's ability to be able to read, for example, is not just a crisis that we're experiencing in my hometown, Newark, New Jersey, but it's a crisis that we are experiencing across the nation. And so when you think about the opportunity we've had to tell this story, when you start to see the through line, you can see that there is an education crisis everywhere, and there's an urgent need for us to be thinking about shaping a democracy that puts our Black and Brown children as a headline for how we need to be thinking about an equitable education. The only way to do that, as we described to our Black and Brown voters that we're mostly speaking to, is to make sure that at the beginning you vote.
Yeah, yeah. So, and as we're heading into the election cycle, turnout is an issue. So you are on the front lines. You're trying to get people out there to vote. So what are they talking about, the barriers that are keeping them from heading to the polls? Because we do have early voting, vote by mail. There are efforts to make it more accessible. But what are you seeing the reality is?
Absolutely. It's a great question. What we're finding is that right now, there's actually more excitement around the opportunity to be able to vote in this coming election that most people feel like they've seen in a long time. And I'll give you an example. Last night, my other organization that I founded called Be Ready, that focuses on getting Black women elected into office, facilitated a call with over 3,200 Black rural residents in Georgia. And during that time, they were like, for a while, people have forgotten about farmers. They've forgotten about what it is that we need. But right now, we see this presidential as a moment to be able to reimagine what democracy looks like, reimagine how it is working for us. So I think there's excitement there. The second thing is, I think people are getting really excited to see a diverse pool of candidates, not just in the national election, but I think people are thinking about this even at the local level as we go to vote for Congress, as we go to vote on Senate seats, and even as we're thinking ahead to our gubernatorial that's coming up in 2025. People are excited to see Black and Brown people running. People are excited to see more women who are running. And I think this is perhaps, and I know I'm being optimistic, but it's perhaps putting us in a place where we can see more people voting than hopefully we've seen since this one presidential campaign that I won't name, but we've seen it before.
Well, I'm gonna kind of jump ahead. I have some other questions, but you're bringing it up. Looking at New Jersey's congressional delegation, what has changed? Really, we have 4 open seats, with Andy Kim moving up to run for the U.S. Senate. And when you look at the pool of candidates, it is minority, women of color. I mean, can you talk a little bit about the possibilities of New Jersey's congressional delegation and how different that is going to look than it did not just last year, but from 10 years ago?
Absolutely. I think the difference that I'm seeing, which is getting me excited, is seeing the opportunity that people are taking to go within and around the party line. And I think for a while growing up, even for me, you hear you can't vote unless you fall within a certain line of folks who will get you there. But now I think we have this opportunity to reimagine what that looks like, an opportunity for people to say, you know what, I want to run for something. I'm not afraid to run for something. And even if I don't have the party line, for example, I still will go and I'll still make sure that I run. The final thing I think is I, in my lifetime, have not seen such a diverse pool of candidates. And the way that I'm seeing it right now, as quiet as it's kept, I have 9 children. I have 3 children. Yes.
9.
I have
Wow.
I have 3 children with from that I have actually come through me, and then I have 6 children who are my bonus children, and they range from the ages of 20 on down to 3. And I'm excited to see for them a world where moving forward, when we see a woman running, when we see a Black woman running, when we see any people of color running, the thought is not, oh, we see people of color, but the thought is, are they good on our policies? Are they good on what it is that we want? Are they going to continue to create a fair and just democracy? And that's my hope.
Yeah. I remember being on a panel not so long ago, and it was talking about women in politics, and there were so few opportunities for women, and you found that women were fighting each other to get those spots. Has that
Right.
changed recently? Are we seeing women supporting and empowering other women, or is there still fights to get those few spots that are available? What have you seen from your lens?
Traveling the nation, we focused a lot on invigorating the vote around the presidential, which I think we all can unite on as a nation. Seeing Kamala Harris come in as the potential next president of the United States and watching women from all walks of life rally around her, gather around her, organize and mobilize, from my nonpartisan perspective, is a proof point of what it looks like for women to be motivated, excited, and feeling less inclined to think about how many spots there are, if they can fit into spots, or if they should support this one person or that person, but just feeling more inspired about a day where we see more women who are in office, which I think will make for an equitable and just America.
And you have, like 3 to age 20. I've got 17 to 20. I'm seeing younger people that are definitely more engaged. And I think I definitely saw it around COVID when kids were home. They were paying more attention to what was going on, and they felt like that they were able to become a little bit more engaged in some of the different issues that came up around COVID. Are you seeing that as well?
Absolutely. And I'm not just seeing youth becoming more active and excited about the opportunity to vote. I'm also seeing more adults becoming excited and active about supporting youth in their ability to digest all that comes with being civically engaged. For example, I am a member, or Project Ready is a member of the Vote 16 coalition in Newark, New Jersey, that has been a spearhead in making sure that we could get youth able to vote in the Newark School Board election as early as 16. This is an incredible moment. It is a blueprint for what we believe can happen across the world. And so I think if we can see more of this, and if we can be connecting and partnering together, we will be looking at a youth that are not only saying, I want to vote, but I'm not sure if I'll be ready when I do, to youth who are saying, I've been voting.
Yeah.
I know what I want. I know what policy agenda I want. And I'm going to go for it.
Yeah.
Oh, and then also youth who are saying, I want to run for something.
That's awesome. I love that. I love that. Instead of, I think my generation, we were a little more cynical. They didn't want to be a part of it. But now people are getting inspired and getting involved and finding those places where they can get involved. Final thoughts here. How can people find out more about the Dear America Project and Project Ready and Be Ready, all of the organizations that you are
Absolutely.
behind?
Yes, it's
Busy,
been
busy, and 9 kids.
Yes, it's been a fun time. But we are launching through our Dear America film a 10-state tour, which will kick off on September 23rd. We'll be in Chappaqua, New York for our first initial screening. And then after that, we'll be in Newark, New Jersey. And then the list goes on from there. To follow along with what we're doing, to host a screening, to activate the vote in any way, you can go to www.thedearamericaproject.com. And that website will take you directly to our Project Ready website, our Be Ready website. We hope that we can, through the amplification of Black women's voices, get 100,000 Black women to fill out our voter commitment form, which we believe will then lead to people's ability to be able to get to the polls. Once people sign up, we're then going to follow them along across the 10 states and make sure they have every resource they need in order to get to the polls or to start voting as early as, I think, this weekend in New Jersey, because we're going to be opening up our vote by mail ballots, which I'm very excited about.
Yeah. Shennell Barnes McLeod, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. We'd love to have you back on closer it gets to election or following up after election and seeing how things are going. You are a ray of sunshine, and we thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you so much. Humbled and honored to be here, and I can't wait to see you again.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. All right, and that will do it for today. I'm Laura Jones. Thank you so much for watching New Jersey Politics. We look forward to seeing you back here next time.